Hi everyone, welcome back to another instalment of our podcast. Again today we're very fortunate to be joined by another top man that I know very well and for a long time from my football soccer days in England, a lad called Craig Arnott, who's had a great career in terms of youth football and obviously was very fortunate and well deserved to get a pro contract when he was 17 at Colchester United and actually was a professional footballer and then obviously went into non-league and had a career there and is now a proud father of his newborn son. So Craig, just kind of welcome to the chat, mate. And if you kind of give everyone a bit of background information to yourself and just kind of talk about where you're from and obviously your whole career in football and kind of where you went, mate, and how it all started, really, bud.
Hello, mate. First things first, mate. Thanks for having me on the show. I think football started for me when I was about 6-7 years old, just kicking around outside my house and that. And then it went to about 12-13 where I thought, do you know what, this could be for me. So I think from about 13-14 years old, I was travelling up to Norwich 3 times a week in the summer. Stayed up there for 6 weeks in the summer, done a bit. Didn't really work out there for me, so I left Norwich. Had a host of clubs wanted me, like from Colchester, Ipswich, loads of others. But so I signed for Colchester. Done the under 15-16 season with yourself, and then obviously they offered me the pro. The youth team first. Done the youth team, and they'd done really well. I thought played with reserves and scoring loads of goals. Then got offered the pro. It was quite weird because I got offered the pro. I think it was on my mum's birthday. So I called her up as soon as we got outside, and it was quite emotional, to be fair. She started crying her eyes out. I was trying to hold it back. But like I say, and then after the pro, I was only there for a year. Didn't really work out. It's probably my fault in a way, thinking about it, because I was quite arrogant back in the day. I didn't really like being told what to do, you know what I mean, mate? I was one of them ones. I've always had it in my head that, hold up, if I got myself into this situation, getting myself a pro, without really listening to many people, because I like playing my own game, then why can't I do that for the rest of my career type thing? But obviously it didn't work out from there. And then I've just been floating in and out of non-league, playing for my local side, Welwyn Garden, created history there, first ever Welwyn team to ever do the double. And like I say, I've kind of been in and around a couple of clubs now. It's a bit hard because obviously I had me and my girlfriend Leanne had a baby boy 2 weeks ago, little Frank Arnott. So yeah, life at the minute for now. Obviously with this coronavirus going on, it's pretty much family time. But I am looking to get back into football in the summer, do a pre-season somewhere, and see what happens.
No, it's great stuff, mate. Great insight, obviously, again, someone that's known you for a long time, Paul, it's kind of weird to me and about you having kids now and kind of doing that part of your life. But again, I mean, just to kind of touch on that, Craig, I mean, you say you was arrogant. I mean, I wouldn't say you were someone that was uncoachable. I mean, it was that kind of mindset, man. And I've touched on it quite a lot of a few other guys before, that balance and that difference between kind of, if you're going to be successful, you need that level of arrogance. You need that winning mentality to kind of go on and progress. And just talk about that, mate. Talk about obviously yourself, and obviously I know your family well. Obviously your mum, and she was kind of like the main figurehead in your kind of life to kind of help you and propel you. I mean, just talk about the importance of your mum and obviously the mindset you developed and how you got, from the likes of Norwich to Colchester and obviously a pro contract, which you again fully deserve, being a top striker at that level.
To be fair, I've always said this to everyone, that I wouldn't be the person I am now without my mum. She drove me up and down the country when I was a really young age, taking me to clubs. Do you know what I mean? She was out to work at 7 o'clock in the morning, coming home at 5, driving me up to Norwich and not getting home till after 11, 12 o'clock at night during the week. So she done everything for me. She still does. She's a really, really special woman. But yeah, I like going back to the arrogance thing, Matt. It's just a bit like I weren't uncoachable. But then again, if I disagreed with someone or I disagreed with a coach, I'd tell them, because I had it in my head that I was right, and I still do sometimes. And I don't know if it's a problem of mine or whatever. Do you know what I mean? But I always think I'm right for some reason. And especially on the football pitch, because I was doing really well, and I was thinking that, but why are you telling me to do something different if it's working for me at the minute? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't want to come across as like an arrogant person or something like that, but like I say, people can tell me stuff, but if I think different, I'm going to tell them. Do you know what I mean? And if we don't have to have a row about it, but just have a conversation about it. But because obviously they were the coaches and I was the player, is that they kind of laid it on thick that I had to listen to them. But that's what wound me up the most, because if we can't have a conversation about it, then how could do you know what I mean? How is it going to be resolved? Because if I got myself a professional contract by just scoring goals, I'm not going to play a different game to what you tell me to do if he's got me a professional contract. Does that make sense?
I totally agree. And obviously, again, someone like that, Craig, I mean, it oozes, strong winning mentality, mate. And I mean, obviously, myself, obviously, someone that was in the game from a young age, obviously, being injured and whatnot. Again, you've got to have that sense that, as a kid and even as a player, you've got to be able to ask questions. Again, if things aren't going right or whatever, if you think you've got a better idea, you've got to be able to talk about it, man. And I think a lot of coaches, pal, as you say, they kind of get maybe a little bit power happy, and maybe their insecurities themselves come through, because, I mean, coaches aren't untouchable either. And again, when you've got a young player who maybe has got that mentality and a little bit of fire to want to go and do better and impress, sometimes it can maybe kind of get under the skin of even top coaches, which is something that coaches need to look at. And even myself in that role now, as someone who's been through it, any player that wants to come at me, I'm very open to talking with them and explaining. Again, I don't think that's a flaw of yours, mate. I maybe say that's a flaw of your coaches, and kind of taking it back a little bit to your youth days at Norwich. Obviously, speak about your mum taking you around and obviously the commitment, mate, that it took. I mean, just talk about geographically, Craig, in terms of Welwyn Garden City, where that is, and obviously how you had to travel to Norwich regularly, 2 or 3 times a week, and obviously the sacrifice that you and your mum had to make to even make the youth days work at Norwich City.
Yeah, so basically Welwyn Garden City is just outside London, 10-minute drive outside London, the Stevenage area. With the Norwich situation, mate, it was, like I say, my mum was doing nearly 15, 16, nearly 18-hour days, like travelling up and down the country, getting me to Norwich and stuff. And it was, like I say, it was hard for me as well, because obviously I had to go to school the next day.
Of course.
I'd be out there on a Tuesday night training, not getting in until 11, 12 o'clock at night, and then I had to get up at 7 o'clock the next day for school. But it weren't till obviously it got to when I was in year 11, the last year of school. I had the conversation with my head of year, and he said to me that if I was to train on the Tuesday, that I could come in at lunchtime on the Wednesday to school. Because he was really, really, my head of year really understood that this was something that I wanted at the time.
Of course, mate.
He'd give me every best opportunity for me to have my rest and get back into, because there'd be no point me going into school if I was tired, because at the best of times I weren't doing anything when I was in school anyway. But he'd like to say, give me the best opportunity to have my rest and come in with a fresh head the next day and not go into a lunchtime, or give me work to do at home.
No, I see it, man. Again, it's very important that even school teachers and whatnot, they give you that support, and they kind of tailor your own program to yourself. And obviously nowadays in coaching, it's all about kind of meeting the individual needs. I mean, obviously you're looking to try and progress players through teams, but that individual, everyone's different, mate, and you've got to be able to tailor things to different players. And again, kind of moving forward there, obviously it didn't work out for you. Norwich, one reason or another. And I can remember you coming into Colchester, mate, at a time where, Colchester, things there were changing from kind of a little kind of League One club, and they kind of got into the Championship and things were. I can remember playing against you on the trial day. Yeah, I can remember it very clearly at Essex Union. You come in and as I say, a little fire, a little lad with great finishing ability, and you knew where the goal was, mate. And again, just talk about that transition from Norwich to Colchester, mate, and how it all come about, and what made you kind of choose Colchester as your next career path.
Basically, when I left Norwich, I went to West Ham for 6 weeks, and then I went to Spurs for 6 weeks. And not many people know this, but when I went to a Spurs trial, they do like they test you on speed and stuff like that in one of their domes for one of their training grounds. And basically, I've done all the tests and everything like that, and went into a room after where they tell you if you've got through or not. But they turned around to me that night and they said they just signed someone from Portugal, a young lad from Portugal that's got basically the exact same result as me, with like passing, or if it were for speed, or if it were for anything like that. And they said they didn't want to take me on because they've just signed him. And I was a bit gutted, and I was like, sad. That's where it comes into my head that how can you be signing players at that age from a different country when you've got homegrown talent in England and they're not getting a sniff? And that's why I think the problem is nowadays with academy clubs is that they don't produce English players. They don't give them the chance because they think it's just easier to buy someone from, or pay for someone to come over from another country, pay their family to come and live in a house or something like that. And it really bugs me because if you look at the players that are coming through now, just say from England, like you've got all your Teddy Alis and stuff like that, they all got given a chance. But there's not many of them that do, if that makes sense for me. Like I say, go back to the Colchester days, when we were all there. I got into the first team when I was about 16, 17 years old. And like I said, I was on Sky Sports and all that. I thought I made it. Mm-hmm. And then we went to Carlisle, and I think we played Dagenham and Redbridge in a cup, and I come on like 5 minutes ago and I scored. We won 1-0. And I think that weekend, I think the gaffer come in and he said to me, "Look, you're travelling with the first team. You've got to go up to Carlisle." So within a matter of 24 hours, I was with the first team, and then by the time Monday comes, I was back in with the youth team. Mm-hmm. Just a massive reality check, which was brilliant for me. Experience, first class. Mm-hmm. But it's I just find it it was very difficult, to understand with all this, when I was at Spurs and them telling me that they haven't, they've just signed someone from Portugal, and then within the space of a couple of years, I was on a plane with the Colchester first team. It was like it's a massive wake up call. But sorry, going off the subject a little bit, but going back to that, when I finally got to Colchester and that, I had a host of clubs. I had about 6-7 clubs that wanted me to go there. I had like Southend, Colchester was one of them. I had like Arnott, and there was a few others. But then I chose Colchester because I thought if I was going to sign for Colchester, then that would be the furthest away. And if I wanted to be a professional footballer, I've got to get used to being away from my family. Mm-hmm. So I thought the smartest idea for me was to go to Colchester, live up there, because I knew for a fact if I was going to do my youth team and that, I'd be a good whack, and I was always confident in myself. But it was completely different though, because when I was at Norwich, you have to drive in like a security guard at the gate, and you have to get, obviously they know you after a while, but it's all like very, very, very professional. But then you go to Colchester, like say on that trial day, and we're playing over at the university, and we had like people jogging past us, like who were on their daily runs. You know what I mean? It was a bit of
culture shock,
a bit of a wake up call, but it does make you think that like not every club's got the financial backing. There's obviously Norwich and so on. Actually, you've got to make do with what you got. But sometimes I think that's a good thing, because the realisation of you being a footballer, like you can start off with nothing and end up the best in the world. Do you know what I mean? Have everything.
I definitely remember here. It's all about the football. Obviously, you can have all the gear as such, no idea, and that's a big issue nowadays. Of obviously all the social media and everything. People kind of think they've made it before they've even got anywhere. And again, just going back, Craig. Obviously, in terms you talk about Spurs and obviously they signed a Portuguese guy who literally had exactly the same results as you. And they've chosen, a Portuguese fan. Again, there's someone, mate, who's been through that whole process in England and now has come out to the States. I mean, and has kind of travelled around a little bit. There 100% is a prejudice as such in England where again, even as England, we doubt our own self and our own credentials, our own ability, where we think that there's players in different countries who can do it better than us. And obviously, there's a difference between being open to different cultures, but at the same time, you've got to look at what you've got. And if you've got players in England who are just as good, and again, I know for a fact that different cultures look at us, and again, they look at our mindset, and obviously the fact that we're the birthplace of football, of soccer, and again, it's so important that we don't lose sight of how good we are as England.
Yeah.
And that we actually, as you say, give the likes of these young players like yourself a chance, because I mean they're homegrown players. They know it more than anyone else. I mean, again, we talk about how in the Premier League it takes kind of foreigners as such a year to adjust, because it's such a different transition. Again, it costs a lot of money for them to transition. When you've got players who are just as good, and again they understand the culture because they are from it and understand what it means to play for a team, it's a no-brainer to kind of give them a chance. But unfortunately, because of this prejudice and because of this lack of awareness that is in the country, these foreign players get chances which maybe they shouldn't ahead of homegrown talent. And again, moving forward, mate, obviously Colchester, touching on youth team, obviously your journey, and again just the sheer commitment, and obviously the fact you speak about, you wanted to go to Colchester because because it was the furthest away and you wanted to kind of grow up as a man. And as someone who puts himself in that situation as a 16, 17-year-old kid, it just shows again that the mark of yourself, mate. And obviously you talk about the arrogance, talk about, you know, in terms of mindset and obviously your perception, it just shows clear as day that you were dedicated and focused to making yourself as best you can be. And kind of, again, mate, it was no surprise to me that you and, you know, the likes of Brad Hammett and Tom Bender, whatever, who was in the same youth team as me, went and got your pros. And let's talk about that under-15 team, Craig, that we was in. I mean, obviously a lot of guys maybe aren't aware of it, and obviously how the system works. I mean, in youth teams as such, you have an under-16 team who tend to play on Saturdays, but the under-15s play as well, and they kind of get in and get chances. But with us, we had a whole team, didn't we, Craig? And we were kind of given we were given games on a Wednesday where we'd go and face the likes of Spurs, West Ham, Arsenal, whatever. And just talk about the team we have, mate, and obviously the performances we deliver and the results we get at 15.
Mate, it was. I've always said that was the most enjoyable time of my playing career. Mm-hmm. Was the things what stands out to me the most is when we used to go to Southend and bash them up. Because they obviously Southend Colchester are big rivals, and there was nothing to achieve that more than was to beat them at their place. I wouldn't mind. Obviously, when we played them at our place, it was all good, but I think there's always something better. Like, there's always something a bit more special than when you go to. I think it's I can't remember the name of their little
Boots and Laces.
That's it, mate.
Yeah.
You used to go over there, and it's not the best setup. I mean, it's the change rooms. It looks like you're gonna just about have a shower in prison. And you just see it like because you're all. I don't know, something about Southend. Like we had me, you, like say, like Brad, Tom, Jordan. We had like Matty Newman, all good players. I think everywhere around the whole pitch, we were just solid. Fair. We beat academy teams. We were one of the best teams in the country, hands down. There was no two ways about it. Like we used to just turn up and just bash people. Like I say, I just remember there's this one game that we all played. I think. Where, I don't know if you remember it, Matt, where Matty Newman scored a free kick from about 35, 40 yards, and I think we won like 4-1, 3-1 or something, and where Jordan Page scored the lob, I scored, and the thing back then, I just think that what we had was just brilliant. I think when we turn up on that game, especially against that Southend, I think if there was a club looking to sign players, I think they'd have just offered all of us pros at the time. Everyone on that pitch, I think we were all just brilliant, and like I say, it was good that we all got along. We were all really, really, really good pals, and even like I say, when me, Jordan, Brad, Tom went off to the first team, we were all always still around, like the youth set up in a way that we will always be chatting. Always like be going out or like having a bit of food together and all that. I think the team that we had back then, I think the friendships and all that was a lot closer, and I think that's why we were a bit successful. Do you know what I mean, Matt?
No, I totally agree. And obviously, I mean that team we had, obviously, I mean I was a captain of the side, mate, and again I was around a lot of boys who, you know, Colchester were kind of moving forward in the right direction at that time, going from League One to the Championship, and obviously the influx of the likes of yourself, Tom Bender, obviously Welsh on Twitter International, and obviously Jordan Sanson, who was a fantastic player, getting looked at by all sorts of clubs, and Brad Arnott, who went on to captain youth teams, and obviously you know, the likes of even Jordan Page we spoke about yesterday, and the other day with Jody, who was a fantastic finisher, and again a lad, a Wayne Rooney type, and little Matty Newman, a young lad, a little lad in midfield, but technically fantastic. As I say, mate, having that ability, but obviously, you know, someone like myself with the mindset, we all kind of complemented each other, and we're all lads who we were there for the right reasons, mate. We were there to go and, well, obviously perform and further ourselves, but we were there to win, mate. Make no mistake about it. We were going to every team and saying, we don't care who you are, Arsenal, West Ham, Chelsea, we don't care. We're gonna have your shirt, and we're gonna beat you in your own back garden, and we're gonna go on and take the spot. And it was just that mindset. Obviously, we talk about kind of the components you need, Craig, as a footballer to go and progress. And obviously, it's not just one area, mate. Obviously, in the States, they prioritise athleticism a lot. Obviously, you look at ability in the likes of Spain. You look at mindset, maybe back home. Obviously, diet, nutrition. I mean, all of it's important. But if you haven't got the ability, and if you haven't got the mindset to go and make yourself the best you can be, and that sense of not really ignorance or arrogance, but that no fear and that sense of it's 11v11. I don't care who you think you are. We're going to have you. If you haven't got that, you're not going to get anywhere. And the fact we did have that, and obviously we all pushed each other on, and we set high standards for each other at the age of 15. I mean, talking to Jody Brown, mate, who was our manager and our coach And we kind of, obviously, he helped a lot, but we kind of did it ourselves, mate. We kind of led ourselves and did it ourselves. And again, obviously, you know, for myself, without kind of going on too much about myself, it was tough for me, mate, to kind of get me injuries first day of under 16 season, but at the same time, great to watch you guys go and progress. And obviously, Tom then stepped into the captaincy role, and obviously you and Brad and whatnot got more roles in the team, and it was great to kind of see you boys progress. And moving forward now, Craig, into obviously, you know, from that under 15 team where we had good success, and then moving on to lots of youth teams you touched on. Just talk now, Craig, about getting your first team pro, obviously. I mean, again, I know you worked very, very hard for me. You put a lot of hours, a lot of dedication, a lot of sacrifice, and obviously your mum and taking you around the country, and obviously you deserved all you got, mate. Just talk about how that kind of come about, and again, what it was like to finally feel as if you'd made it as such, even though you had a lot more work to do, but to really achieve that professional football status.
Like I say, when we played, I think it was the first team fixture, but I remember they used to send all the reserves or like some of the first team, some of the youth team over to, I think it was like the Essex Senior Cup. I was playing Dagenham and Redbridge, and I was on the bench. I was only young, but like I say, great experience and that. And I think it was 0-0. Joe Dunn was manager at the time. Turned around to me on the 85th minute or something and said, "Look, go get ready." So I was buzzing because I didn't think I was going to come on either. So just to be on the pitch was brilliant. So then I think playing and that, and then got a chance. The ball got slid to me in the box. A fake shot out and then dinked it over the keeper. Literally, I don't think I'll ever do that ever again. I just have the confidence. What I did type thing then, even though, like I say, I was really, really, really nervous, but to have the confidence, like that's the thing I've always said: if ball drops in the box, I wish it. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? That's how I scored the majority of my goals. I don't really score from outside the box. I just score if the ball's going to drop. I always make sure that I'm there. Mm-hmm. So I've done that. We've won 1-0, and after that, I was really, really buzzing, like really buzzing. So I was just the happiest kid in the world. And pardon me. So I'm going to, I think that was on a Wednesday night, and then on the Thursday I've gone into the training ground, or the stadium, where it was, and the gaffer's pulled me in. He said, "Look, you're in the squad for Saturday." I was like, "No way." He's like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah." So I was like, so I had a look, and I was like, "Playing Carlisle away." He was like, "Yeah," and I was like, so I called my mum, and I was like, "Look, Mum, I'm made it to the first team, like I'm in the squad." She's all mad and all that, packing a suit, even though I don't even need it, and everything like that. And so it comes to it, and I've got a suit, like, they change all the lads are like, "What are you laughing for?" They'll go, "Wear a tracksuit." "You can wear a suit, are you?" And I was like, "All right." So then I left the suit at home, and then I think it was like a week or two after that, after training with like a couple of times with the first team, and he put me in, and he said, "Look, I'm going to have to go pro." And I was like, "Right, that's it. That's do you know what? This comes into it. I knew after a couple of weeks' time, if he weren't going to offer me anything, that he's got a problem, because I was smashing it. You know, scoring goals for reserves. I was training like continuously with the first team. I say a couple of times. It was like, "All right, Craig, we want you today," blah, blah, blah. And I was just going every day, doing my bit. Obviously, making mistakes, like. I was nervous, touch weren't great or anything, but obviously the gaffer sees something in me that he thought, "Do you know what, we're going to give the pop." Mm-hmm. So he offered me the pro, called my mum, she ended up bawling her eyes out, I started crying. And like I say, from there on, done the summer, come back in, and like I say, after 9 months or whatever, I think the manager change didn't help, because obviously it was A.D. Buford was the guy who offered me the pro. He left Coventry. I knew for a fact when he left for Coventry, I was like, it's not going to work out. It really isn't going to work out. When John Ward took over, just didn't get along. One of them guys, like I say, for me, I had a lot of problems with what he was trying to implement type thing. And obviously I won't have arguments with the first team manager. I don't mind doing it with the youth team manager, because obviously that's like he's the governor. Do you know what I mean? John Ward is the governor, and I thought, I can't have an argument with him, because if I have an argument with him, he's just going to release me. You know what I mean? It's not that easy in the youth team. But yeah, I knew for a fact when Eddie Boothroyd got the boot, and it weren't going to work out for me. But obviously, John Ward, even though I scored a few goals in reserves and thought I was doing quite well, he just turned around to me one day and he said that he weren't going to offer me a new one, and he gave me the option to stay for the rest of the season and train, and he said you probably won't be playing any games, or we can pay you off and leave. And I said, well, I'm not going to stay at a club that's not going to at least give me a chance to, like, if we were to play another club, to show them and just showcase my abilities to them. Do you know what I mean? If John, that Colchester could have turned around to him and said, look, this guy ain't going to get another contract, you fancy having a look at him. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. They were just saying, look, all we're going to do is make you train. So I just said, you know what, I'm done. So I left that day. Or no, I think it was the day after. Went home, packed all my stuff up, and it was so weird, Matt, because like in the space of 24 hours, I'm coming from training, and then I'm back living in Welwyn City.
Yeah. No, I can relate to that, man. Again, it's interesting to talk about, mate, because obviously, you know, again, linking it to myself, pal, obviously, I mean, you know me, but before my injury, kind of, I was doing very well, mate. And again, it's very clear that our whole team was a team of winners, but we had some great talent in our team. And again, as you say, I mean, our under-15 team, we were, as I say, one of, if not the best teams in the country. Look at likes of Arsenal, whatever you want to say. Any team we'd faced, we'd either give them a good game or we'd beat them. And it's interesting, mate. Again, obviously, you know, you look at without being disrespectful to me, you look at where the club has gone at a Colchester since, and someone like Eddie Boothroyd, who's gone on to bigger and better things, and he actually gave you a chance to maybe someone like John Ward, who come in and maybe didn't take the club forward.
The difference between the two, Matt, was obviously Eddie Boothroyd, he really liked us. Obviously, Boot Boy. He shouted at me a few times for not doing his boots, which is fair enough. But he liked me. He told me he liked me. I remember the first memory of Eddie Boothroyd was I come in from training. And I think remember when we used to eat at the stadium, Matt, and we used to go upstairs in the room, the end room at the end, where everyone used to have their dinner and that.
Conference room,
You'd be in one room, and the first team would be in the other. And I was just dishing up my plate, and he come in and he said, he goes, Wildstone, I've come in for you to loan you for the season. And I was in the first, I think it was the first year of my scholar, or it might be the second year. And I said, oh really? He went, yeah. So I told him no though. I went, oh right. And he goes, because I like you. He goes, I want you. I really like you. I want you to be around me all the time and stuff. And I was like, all right, now we're talking. Do you know what I mean? I've got someone whose decision and his decision final. Do you know what I mean? He's the manager of the football club. If he likes me, he wants me in, he's going to offer me this, he's going to offer me that. And as long as I had a good relationship with the manager, nothing can really go wrong for me.
Of course, mate. Yeah.
And like I said, and going back to what you said, that we had a team full of winners when we were young. You can't teach that, Matt. Like, I think what they had there was something special, because everyone there had the same mentality and stuff, and a lot of teams don't. Are not successful because I don't think, like, what I think personally, if I don't have 11 fighters on the pitch and you only have 10, that one person who ain't going to fight could lose you the game.
No, mate, I totally agree with you, Craig. And again, so I say, touching back on what I was saying before, I mean, someone like Eddie Boothroyd and whatnot, without being disrespectful to anyone else like John Ward, I mean, I don't think it's any coincidence that obviously, you know, again, the club was going through transitions. I mean, Paul Lambert coming in, again, he was a massive winner and he loved all of us. And obviously he went on to bigger and better things. Eddie Boothroyd coming out. I can remember me, mate, being injured, and Eddie Boothroyd didn't even know, or had never even seen me play, but still knew all about me. I remember having a conversation with him in the corridor, and he was, again, similar to me, all about me and looking forward to me getting back from my injury. And obviously when he left, it was tough. And obviously there was a big transition for, obviously, all of us as youth players going into the pro level, mate. It is a tough transition in itself getting there. But unfortunately, because the club was going through such exponential growth, a lot of these big names are coming and going very quickly. And obviously then we were left, with all due respect, maybe coaches and managers that weren't as big as these guys coming in. I don't think it's any coincidence that obviously the club went, you know, down as such when other guys come in, and obviously better guys left, and obviously ourselves it got affected because, as you say, you know, I mean, let's talk about, you know, can you teach when, obviously, yeah, I mean, you know, that it's not really focused upon teaching it, and there are ways to learn when there are ways of doing it, but as you say, it's got to come within, and you've got to have that right environment and those right people in the right places to back you. And with the likes of Paul Lambert and Boothroyd, they all loved us because obviously we all shared the same kind of mindset, and with obviously other coaches that maybe come in, wasn't as strong, and maybe they were a little bit intimidated by us, and that didn't really stand us in good stead. But as you say, I mean, it was just interesting, mate, to look at the difference and how all of us had the similar problems where at the age of 14, 15, 16, all of us were literally flying and buzzing, and then kind of going into 16, 17, 18 when the changes had happened and different coaches come in, we all kind of went through the same problems. I don't think that's a coincidence, really, mate. And obviously, look where the club has gone now. Again, with all due respect, I don't think it's any surprise that it hasn't maybe progressed as much as it was with the likes of Lambert and Booth.
When you look at it, like Matt, when at one point, like when I was there, I think there was 5, 6 managers. You had Gerard Williams, or what's his name?
Yeah. Maybe no, spot on, mate. Even during my injury, we had Grant Williams. I can remember there was 4 managers, mate, in the space of 18 months. It was the biggest transition.
Paul Lambert, Joe Dunn, John Ward, and AD Boothroyd.
Yeah, you're
it's
right.
Like, how are you meant to? How are you meant to get comfy and know what's going to happen if you don't know the next week they're going to be there or not?
Yeah, I mean, you're right, mate. Obviously, it was a massive growth. Obviously, that come with the chairman coming in. Even that, mate, obviously, you were in the building every day, and someone like myself, who I was injured, I couldn't even do anything. I was literally just relying on reputation and word of mouth, and you get caught up in the system, mate. And even, again, people aren't aware of how obviously, the club had changed stadium, the club had even changed its badge, it had changed managers numerous times, the whole youth staff had changed. I mean, Lambert brought in his own guys, and he went to Norwich. And again, obviously, new people come in, which again, obviously were good coaches and stuff, but it was different. And I mean, even as you say, mate, it's interesting. We all kind of experienced the same thing. But I can remember getting injured at Colchester United and coming back, and literally the only thing that was the same about the club was the name. Everything else had changed. The manager had changed. I mean, the ground had changed. The youth staff had changed. Even the club badge, they updated it and changed it. And as I say, I mean, during that period, mate, again, we can talk about that as well, Craigie. Obviously, in terms of going from youth team to pro and that transition itself. But you need that support. You need that stability, and it's a massive change. And for us guys to kind of be caught up in that massive transition from the club trying to grow. I mean, we've touched about it, but as yourself, mate, who was there day to day, I mean, what was it like to deal with, obviously, that constant change as a kid who's kind of moved away from home and who needs that stability, and it just, unfortunately, wasn't there because the club were growing at such a rapid rate?
It was very, very difficult because it was almost like you got sold a dream type thing, because I thought when I moved away from home, I thought, right, this is going to be... I didn't even think about what changes could happen before I left, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? I just thought, like, this is what I'm signing for, this is what I'm going to get, this is what it's going to be until I either get released or I leave. Yeah. But, like I say, from day one to where it ended, it was just a massive roller coaster. Massive roller coaster. Like I say, I got comfy with AD Boothroyd. 2 minutes later, I walked into the stadium, put on Sky Sports. AD Boothroyd's gone to Coventry. Mm-hmm. And then next thing you know, it's like Joe Dunn, my youth team manager. Well, our youth team manager. Yeah. He got the first team job, and I'm thinking, yes. Then he started getting like the likes of us training with the first team and that, not really getting into the squad, because I think in due time, if he still stayed there, Joe Dunn, I think we would have all still been playing football. Do you know what I mean? For Colchester, maybe, because he loved us. He saw exactly what we had every single week in the youth team days and that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It was like, and then he was only there, and I think John Ward got the manager job, and then Joe Dunn was his assistant, and then it was like you're saying, and you got these influx of players that only come round for like, I remember Frank Wood signing for like, and he's there for like 3 months, and it's like. And then I walk into the physio room and Nobby Solano's on the bike. And I'm like, what's he doing here? You know what I mean? You just didn't know what was going to happen at any time. And like, there was no time to get comfortable. There was no time to do this or do that. Because like I say, time was limited for us. We only had a contract until it ran out. And that wasn't an endless contract. There was only like a year or two. And it was like, hey, you can't... One guy could like you and you think you're doing so well, and then another guy could come in and not like you, and you've just wasted that year impressing this one person.
Yeah, no, you're spot on, man. Obviously, that change that happened at the club it was colossal, and it was a massive roller coaster, and it was non-stop. And again, you say that kind of change was unexpected. I mean, as someone who knows the club well, mate, even in football, that change doesn't happen often. But at the club, mate, that kind of change, that level of change, has never happened before, and it'll probably never happen again at the club, mate. And literally, it coincided with our most important time in our careers, arguably, from going from youth team football.
Mate, it happened when we were at Colchester, and I always said if we were there 2-3 years later, we'd all still be playing, and we'd all still be in the first team. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I just think for us, we were just there at the wrong time. When we left, they started trusting all the youth players, all like Sammy Smodics and Kent and all them boys and Corley Bond. It's almost like they started trusting all the youth players whenever we left.
Yeah.
It was like, come on, man! I've just given 3 years of my hard work, and we didn't even get a sniff.
I know what you're like, mate. Again, I was there from the age of 5, mate. So I can completely understand what you're saying there, pal. But you're right. Obviously, different people have different opinions, they have different ideas, and unfortunately, that's part and parcel of football. But I mean, you're right. And again, talking about that youth team, obviously, which was a little bit after our time, we played with them players. Lots of Smodge has gone on to bigger and better things at Bristol City, and Frankie's gone on to Peterborough, and obviously Alex Gilby, who was knocking about our team kind of before the transition changed, and obviously all very, very good players. But I just say, I mean, with all due respect to them lads, I mean, at the time, they were looking to us for inspiration. Obviously,
yeah, definitely. That's what I've always said, that mate. They were training with us, and they weren't no better than us. We were kind of like a level ahead of them. But obviously, I'm not going to take anything away from them. Some of them boys have done brilliantly in their careers and stuff like that. But like I said, I've always put it down to they took the chance that they got. None of us really got a sniff. And that's nothing against them. Them boys are good lads. You know what I mean? I still speak to Sammy Smodics now and then. And he's done extremely well in football and that. And I just, like I say, they got given a chance. And I've always said, mate, if we were there 2 years later, 3 years later, we'd have got given the same chance. And you never know, life could be different. But I'm always one for live for now. Not, do you know what I mean? I'm living the life that I want to live at the minute, and I couldn't be happier.
No, you're right, mate. Again, there's no doubt, and obviously the credential and the ability and the talent in the team. Because obviously they say that under 15 team. I say, I mean, if coulda, woulda, shoulda, had it been 2 years later, who knows? Had it been 2 years prior, who knows? Obviously during that time, it was a massive transition. Again, all of us kind of dealt with the same thing, and as I said, they've all gone on to bigger and better things, the likes of Smuds and whatnot, and credit to them. But just moving forward again, Craig, obviously, I mean, it's a great insight you're giving, pal, into the life and the day-to-day goings on at club football and pro level for guys in the States and guys in England and all around the world who will be listening to these podcasts and obviously hearing about players in these environments. And as you say, I mean, we talk about that winning mentality of obviously trying to create an opportunity but taking it. But at the same time, when you need the opportunity to be given to you, and unfortunately, no matter what we did, it just seemed as if we were on a hide into nothing. As you say, I mean, 1 minute you've got one manager, the next you have someone else, the next you have someone else. It was literally, as you say, I mean, there was 4 or 5 managers in the space of 18 months, which is again an absolutely crazy transition and change. Obviously, for us to still kind of beat it, obviously for the likes of you to go and get a pro and even have a year after that change, just shows the kind of level of player we're dealing with on this call, ladies and gentlemen. So again, moving forward, mate, obviously it didn't really happen in terms of you, and obviously I can vouch for you, mate, in terms of training. I mean, myself and Jody spoke about Jordan Page the other day, mate, on the call, and obviously how good he was. And I mean, yourself, mate, I mean, you were right up there as well. I can remember in training, finishing wise, left, right foot, you were great. And I can remember watching the likes of, or playing against the likes of Conor Wickham, who again has had a great career in the Prem. We went and faced Ipswich Town, and I can remember we had again our under 15 team. We went to their back garden, and I think we actually beat them that day 3-2. And obviously Conor was a good player, but I don't think he had a sniff against the likes of Tom Bender, Brad Hamilton, and obviously I was in the team too. And I think you scored a couple that day, and again it just shows the level, mate. So again, just kind of talk about again, obviously your kind of rise as such, and obviously the level we had in the 15s team, and obviously getting your pro, and then obviously maybe a little bit of the demise without kind of trying to sound too negative, and obviously going into non-league football and what that was like, mate, kind of going to Bishop Stortford and making the rounds and trying to make a career in non-league coming out of the pro league game.
What I will say about myself is that even though nowadays I put on a bit of timber, I know just float around in the centre mid, I don't need to sit in the circle now. Like I say, going back to it, mate, I was every single game I played in, no matter who I was playing against, I knew for a fact if I got a chance I was scoring a goal.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what a lot of people knew about me. Even nowadays, people turn around to me nowadays and say, like, you're the best finisher I've ever played with. And people coming like from a guy called Matt Ball, who's had a good career at Stevenage and stuff like that. He rates me. And don't get me wrong, I'm quite well known around my area just through football alone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nice, even though I don't really play as much now, even though I'm getting back into it. But like I say, when we were going up to Ipswich, we could play against Arsenal, we could play against Chelsea, or play against anyone. I was always scoring goals, no matter no matter what the situation was. And like I say, going into non-league and that, like I say, because I was quite well known around the area through football, come out of football, played for a guy called Adam Fisher, was Welwyn City manager at the time. He said to me, "Do I fancy it?" So yeah, no worries, I'll give it a go. But then obviously Bishop Stortford called me as well, so played a few games for Bishop Stortford, and it was just I knew the coach. He was the coach at West Ham when I was there. When I went to West Ham on trial, and I didn't really. I found him really like. He's come from a big background, and you know them guys that are in the game and they've done a bit or whatever, and they just come across really like rude maybe for me. And I looked at him. After I think we played Colchester in a pre-season friendly. Yeah. And come on in the second half, and I speak to Joe Dunn. It's quite surreal really, because like 6 months previous to that game, I was actually in Colchester playing for Colchester. Now playing, I'm at Bishop Stortford playing for Bishop Stortford against Colchester. I remember Joe Dunn, I was warming up, and he come over to me and he's like, "How you doing?" And that, I said, "Yeah, everything's fine." He goes to me, "Look, you'll get a chance today." I was like, "Yeah, I probably will actually." seeing the Colchester defence, I did there, see how like Matt Heath and John White and all that, I was thinking, these boys are at the end of their career, surely. Matt Heath couldn't even size up lace at one point. And so I got a chance to hit the post, and I was like, no. That was one I come out of that game and didn't really get a good vibe from that place, Bishop Stortford, so I just turned to the guy from Welwyn, literally still interested, can give it a go. And it was quite good actually, because my brother signed as well. And like I say, in the first season we won the first ever Welwyn to do the double, won the league and won a cup, climbed a couple of leagues with Welwyn, and then just had a falling out with the manager really. Everything happened beyond the scenes and that, like I say, for me, I got paid from Welwyn, but I didn't get paid a lot, but all of my money went behind the bar for all the support and all that. Nah, not just for me, just for people that are taking their time out away from their families and that, and just to watch Welwyn Garden play. We were getting attendances over 450 people against Hatfield on Boxing Day, turning them over. Like I say, all my money went behind the bar, and a lot of things happened that I can't really say too much about. And then come out of it, play for a couple more teams, and like I say, just work for me now takes over a lot of my time. And obviously now I've got the little man here. It's going to be difficult for me, but I think Leanne don't know. I'm looking forward to get back into it this year.
she'll know now, mate. Again, obviously, listen to you talk about it. Again, it just oozes, mate, out how much of a top man you are. Obviously, again, I've known you a long time, but kind of sounding in a type of way. You know, you get a reputation of being a bad boy or whatever. But as I said, you need that arrogance and that mentality and you need that strong mindset, mate, to kind of go and be a winner. Obviously, you've you know, and again, like myself, mate, where I've come out to the States and done well. Obviously, at the time, you're in football for one reason, man. That's to get to the top. And when you're kind of in a team like the under-15s, where you're right there and you're beating the likes of Norwich, Ipswich, Arsenal, Chelsea, whatever, regularly, and obviously then the transition occurs, and if for one reason or another that maybe ain't even your fault, and you find yourself in non-league, and you find yourself going to your local team and again doing well, it can be a little bit of a strange situation mentally, but again there's the stuff.
Very rewarding though. It's very, very rewarding signing for Welwyn Garden and playing for my hometown. Even though I did it at such a young age, I was going to do it when I retired from football either way. I mean, I've always had in my head that I was going to play for Welwyn just at some point. And like I say, it was good for me. The only positive thing that I'd done it when I was young is because I could still run about and still score goals and still help Welwyn make history. And even though it's not a lot in the actual game itself, but for me, like to be part of the team that made history for your own hometown, it does mean a lot to me.
No, definitely. I'm moving again. Let's touch now, Craig, on that non-league, obviously, environment where you've come out the programming. Obviously, I mean, people that don't know, our viewers in the States, that don't really know about non-league and professional. I mean, non-league is kind of the leagues below the Football League and the Premier League. So you have the Premier Division, you have the Championship, League 1, League 2, and then obviously underneath that, I mean, that's what's called the Football League, and that's the professional full-time game. Obviously, underneath that, you have the conference and whatnot, which then becomes non-league and becomes semi-professional, where you don't train as much, you don't get paid as much. And talk about that transition there, Craig, where you've gone to Stortford, and obviously you've ended up with Welwyn Garden City, your hometown club, which was non-league, and how did you find the differences, mate? And obviously, how much did you enjoy it? Because obviously, I mean, even myself who's been in non-league football, it's proper football, mate. It's proper people who literally go there for the love of the game, and rather than kind of even at someone like Colchester where maybe isn't as big as the likes of Chelsea and whatnot, but it becomes more about the money side of it and a bit more on the luxury side, and obviously a lot more things are done for you. What was it like going to someone like Welwyn, mate, where it was literally kind of going back to your roots, as you say, and just playing for the love of the game and playing for the love of the people around you, really, mate?
Mate, it was honestly, it's the best feeling ever when you play for your own team, mate. And you get people that, like I say, for me, it means a lot to me because people on a weekend when they've been working Monday to Friday and stuff like that, and if they can take 3 hours, 4 hours out of their time to come and watch you play football, when they don't really need it, when they don't have to, it really does mean a lot to me. That's why we were successful, because you have people like me, my brother, and a few other players there that were really, really good. And like I say, that Wellington team really reminded me of our old Colchester team, where we had a plan. We knew what we were doing. Everyone was there to fight. Everyone fought. We won. We done well. We were successful. So I've been quite fortunate in the teams that I played for in my career of football that I've landed myself into a couple of teams that have been successful, and it's good for me to be a part of. And I feel like I played a big part in it. Do you know what I mean? And the Welwyn Garden thing it was nuts. Do you know what I mean? Like, walking in, it's not like a massive professional environment. You walk in, you've got a bar straight there, see people drinking a couple of beers for the game, and that. It's absolutely mental, but it's so enjoyable. It's so rewarding when you win a couple of trophies or whatever, you see, and you get people like 400 people coming out and watching you play on Boxing Day as well, playing against your rivals, beating them. And even though the standard's not the best, mate, I think you just got to take every situation as it is. You know what I mean? You just got to enjoy what you're doing. If you're not enjoying it, there's no point doing it. I've always said that. For me, I will not play football if I don't enjoy doing it. And I enjoyed Welwyn majorly. It was incredible.
No, definitely. No, I'll totally agree, Paul. I mean, it's what you've done is fantastic. And just touching upon the differences, mate, obviously, again, non-league, what you've done there has been tremendous. You've broken sunny records at Welwyn Garden City, and obviously you're now considering your next move. I mean, just compare, mate, for those that don't know, compare the day-to-day goings on as a kind of, a young kid coming out of school, the Centre of Excellence type player where it's more part-time, and then kind of going into full-time scholarship, and then going into full-time pro, and then going into non-league and kind of going back. I mean, it's like a full circle, Craig, isn't it? Where you kind of start part-time, you go into it full-time, and you kind of come back. Maybe if it doesn't work out, you go back into it kind of part-time. And just explain to viewers what it's like day-to-day in the different parts of football, from being a youth team kid to a youth team player to a pro to non-league, and obviously then playing for the likes of...
Well, when we got the youth team and that, and we remember every single training session, we used to go into the town, and we used to have a bit of dinner, didn't we, Matt? We used to go to cinema, and we used to do all of this. So that was really, really enjoyable. So obviously you go there, you wake up, you have your breakfast at home, you go into the training ground, you do your bit of training, you have a bit of lunch, you do a couple of, if you do a weight session or something in the afternoon, then we'd normally go out for dinner, wouldn't we? Mm-hmm. And then obviously you go from that and you go from your pro, but you couldn't really go out for dinner every night because it was under kind of strict rules. I mean, you go and you do your bit of training, you have a bit of lunch, and you go home. They want you to relax. You're under
more of a spotlight.
It was almost like prison.
Yeah, a bit of scrutiny.
Do you know what I mean? It's like very, very, very strict into what you can do. And I remember once, so me, Bradley, and Jordan, and a couple of others were out on a night out, and we bumped into all Tony Humes, Richard Hall, Frank, Liquid, and I was like, God's sake.
What was they doing out, mate?
And then next thing you know, I walk into the training ground, lady boot boys, and I forgot to do his boots, and he found out I was out on the piss, and he's just nearly ripped my head off. But yeah, like I say, and then so you're very strict into what you could do as a pro, especially when you're young. I mean, if you played 150, 200 appearances, I mean, you can kind of do what you want. Do you know what I mean? But when you ain't even made an appearance, you've only made a couple or whatever, you kind of have to do what they say, which I really, really, really dislike, because I've always been the man to do my own thing, if that makes sense. But like I say, I come away from there, you've got Bishop Stortfield, it was good, it was a nice setup, train once a week, and a little game on a Saturday. Then the team when I played in the Welwyn, Matt, we didn't even train for 2 years. we were the most successful Welwyn team to ever do it, and we didn't train for 2 years, mate. They always said, like, I always throw a little text out in the WhatsApp groups and ask who fancies training then. So I had 2 people replying, all right, boys, do your Saturday. And it was still, do you know what I mean? We're like a team of Eddie King, mate. We just didn't train, but turned up on Saturday and was awesome.
Yeah. It just shows you, Craig. I mean, obviously, yeah. I mean, the likes of diet, nutrition, that's important. But I mean, it's not a case that you would just turn up and play. Obviously, in the end, you would at Welwyn. But you'd already done your graft, mate. You'd already learnt your trade. You already knew how the game. And again, we were talking the other day to one of the guys. Talking about someone like Alex Ferguson saying how important it was to have players and obviously give them structure and obviously be there as a coach to put them in the right mind and correct them when they're wrong. But the likes of Roy Keane, Paul Scholes, Beckham, whatever. They run the dressing room for them. They're the ones that went out on a pitch and did it. And again, it comes down to, Craig. I mean, if you've put the work in and you're good, it's like riding a bike, mate. It's there. And again, whatever level you play at, it can be the Premier League or it can be non-league. Obviously the principles are the same. And talking there, mate, about non-league at Welwyn. I mean, you didn't train as much, but you'd done your training before. You knew how to play the game. You knew what it took, and obviously you knew that guys in the same boat as you who maybe weren't training as much or at all. Your brain and your ability would be able to be the difference. And again, mate, let's kind of move on now, mate, into kind of your personal life. Obviously, again, I know you've touched it before. You're now with Leanne again, a lovely lady, and obviously you've got your little lad now. I mean, just talk about that, mate, and the steps you've taken now post football, post soccer, and where the future lies next for Craig Arnott.
Like I say, little Frank was born 2 weeks ago, and it's something that we really wanted. We've had 2 miscarriages before, so it was a bit third time lucky for us, if that makes sense. Yeah. But
hat trick, mate.
Yeah, actually, keep the match ball. I've got plenty of them. So easier now, but like I say, and obviously with this virus going about, mate, it's really important for me to just stay at home. And I work now for 6 weeks. I'm self-employed. I'm in a self-employed builder now, and I can't even take a chance. I would forgive myself if I brought a virus into the house and do you know what I mean? And it's killed thousands of people. And I would never ever forgive myself if I hurt Leanne, Frank, or my mum.
Oh, of course,
so at the minute now, my life is getting fit, running every day, just doing 5k every day. Try to reduce the time every time I go out. Get on the bike. I think just to keep your mental state right. Do you know what I mean? I think if you sit down and do nothing every day, I think you'd end up putting your hair out. Do you know what I mean? I think I feel like when you've got the opportunity to exercise and you've got a lot of time, you can exercise for an hour a day.
Yeah.
There's 24 hours in a day, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can chill out for the rest of it. Do you know what I mean? Just get out. So for me now, it's just being at home with the little man, Leanne, and my mum, chilling out. Looking forward to moving out maybe in a couple of months' time. Like I say, get back into work whenever we can. But at the minute now, mate, I'm just enjoying dad life, and every day's a challenge, mate. Every day's different, so just got to take it with both hands. You know what I mean? And just make yourself better, mate.
No, definitely. Again, listen to your pal. Obviously, it's clear as day that obviously, I know you very well, mate. And you're a role model. You're a model professional as such. That's why you kind of become a pro. And again, I think it's interesting, mate. Where in the previous chat we had there a minute ago, you said about you didn't train at Welwyn Garden City at all. And there you are now, kind of you've got no job at the minute because of coronavirus, and whereas kind of a lot of people are sat around doing nothing, and now is a time where there's nothing going on. There you are doing 5Ks. Which again just shows the level of training that you, even when you're not training, that's the kind of level that you keep yourself at. So it's very clear, mate, that your mindset and whatnot is different, and obviously that's why you've got to where you've got to. It's not a case of just sit around and wait for things. You're out doing it, mate, and you're keeping yourself at a level ready for whatever chance comes when. Again, just kind of, obviously, if it doesn't come your way, obviously, with the experience you've had at Colchester, you try and make it happen, mate. Like kind of like myself, I've done in the States. I know that we'd be very happy to have you out here, mate, in whatever capacity, and obviously even for holidays to come out and enjoy yourself because you deserve it, mate. And talking to the kids and parents. I mean, just touch on that, Craig. I mean, what advice would you give to any kind of player, young player, old player, whatever, anyone kind of listening in the States, at home and abroad, and even parents, man? And what advice would you give to players and parents, and parents especially, who are looking to get the best out of their kids and want to, maybe don't know how to go and get it? As someone who's had a great family around you, with your brothers and your mum who's always been supportive, and obviously yourself as a player has been there and done it and experienced the highs and lows, what advice would you give to parents, and what advice would you give to players?
The thing about the parents that worked out so well for me and my mum is that my mum made mistakes because I was the only person that was going to learn from it. She was never ever going to learn from it. So it was always, if I made a mistake, she'd know about it. I'd tell her everything. I tell my mum absolutely everything that I do in my life. Literally, there's not one thing she don't know about me. So she made me make mistakes because she knew that it was me, the one that was doing the football. It was me. It was my career. And like I say, if I make mistakes, it's me the ones that's got to deal with it. So I feel like don't put too much pressure on your kid. People are going to make mistakes. I feel that if you're a parent and you don't sound rude, but if you keep wiping your kid's ass, do you know what I mean? And then when it comes to a situation where he ain't got his family or his mother in the room to back him up, and one of the coaches are hammering him, then he's going to fall flat on his ass. Do you know what I mean, man? Because he ain't going to have. He ain't have no backbone, because I feel like you make mistakes, you get a bit tougher, you learn from it, and stuff like that. So I'd say as a parent, for me, when it comes to a situation with Frank, and if Frank ever got into the game, I'd just let him do what he's got to do. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Just really let him do it. But if I feel like he's taking the piss a little bit, I'd let him know about it. But it's like I say, people make mistakes, and it's just how you learn from it and how you live with it. But what I will say as a player, I was speaking to the fellas the other day, obviously Jordan, Bender and that. I think we enjoyed ourselves at Colchester a bit too much. Do you know what I mean? I feel that with us, because we were obviously such a tight-knit group, I feel that we were always doing something. We didn't really rest as much as we should have. We were always looking to go on holiday, or we were going out on a night out, or, do you know what I mean? We didn't really rest. I don't think we slept for 2 years. But, but I'd say that obviously you work hard and stuff like that, but you still got to enjoy yourself, mate. You got, because at the end of the day, if you wouldn't look back at it after 2 years and just say you give it all you got, done everything that they tell you to do, you've done it, and you look back at it and think, do you know what, I didn't enjoy myself as much as I should have done. So I feel like the enjoyment of it comes, for me personally, I think enjoyment is more important than working hard and stuff like that. I feel like if you there's no point you playing football if you don't enjoy playing football. No, and playing and enjoying football means everything, like doing stuff outside of football, going for your meals, going for cinemas, doing everything as a team. If you enjoy yourself as a team and your team are all together, that's when you start becoming successful, like we were when we were younger.
No, I'll totally agree with it. Again, it's that balance, man. As you say, I mean, you've got to have a life outside of football. When you're playing, once you cross that white line and once you're in the building, you've got to be switched on and ready to progress. Otherwise, you'll say it ain't going to work out. But no, it's interesting, man, listening to you talk about your mum, and obviously, again, that balance. I mean, it's key to have that support and be pushed at the right times. Obviously, there's times where you're going to need that little kick up the backside and such, that little jit. But at the same time, there's going to be times where, you talk about being left. You need that player ownership, mate. You need to be allowed to kind of learn your own lessons and learn from mistakes and become a man or a woman as such if you're a young girl kind of looking to get into the game. And obviously, in terms of players themselves, that balance is colossal. And it's interesting hearing you talk about how you maybe thought as if you enjoyed yourself too much. I mean, as someone on the flip side, mate, you obviously, done me near whatnot, as you know. I'd love to have been able to have that time, mate. I was grafting my backside off from the age of 15 to 18, mate. But when you guys were kind of making it, and I was seeing you guys do it, as much as I was proud of you and pleased for you, I'd love to have had a little bit of time to join you. But obviously, I was trying to make sure that I could get there first.
Of course, mate. I've always said that when you got that injury and that, I was like, it happened to the wrong person, because you as a player and that, you're like say you were a leader, and it happened to the wrong person for me. Do you know what I mean? Your injury, because I always feel that if you stayed injury free, I really do feel like you would have made a good career out of yourself. Because you were like the leader, you were the captain, you were like you were always like speaking to the coaches, you were always like whatever, always giving us advice type thing. Even if we didn't listen to you, but you'd still be the one to do it. Do you know what I mean? You'd still be like in our ears, and you got to do this, you got to do that, making sure all the chores were done around the stadium. But yeah, I've always said that about you, though, fella. I've always said that it's happened to the wrong person. I do really feel that if it didn't happen, that you'd have had a really, really good career, mate.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, mate. Obviously, you talk about different ways and different things. I mean, it's tough, pal. But no, I think we all helped each other out, and we all we all push each other, and obviously that was different parts of the game and different ways of doing it. And no, it's a shame it didn't work out. But again, we all haven't done bad, and no, it's been great having you on, Craig. And obviously, again, different insights to people. And whatnot. Obviously, if there was a little bit of language that people didn't maybe understand or found a little bit offensive, we apologise for that during the podcast. But again, this is kind of very strong and informative football chat and dialogue. And obviously, someone at Craig Arnott, who again has worked incredibly hard to get where he's got in the career. I mean, passions do run high, and again, kind of tapping back into it, mate. I know myself that when you get back into that frame of mind, it is very raw, and we appreciate your time coming on, mate. And anything you'd like to leave people with, pal, before we end the call? Anything you'd like to say?
Just want people. My outlook in life now, mate, is literally just enjoy yourself. So if you're going through anything like that, just make sure you're always smiling at the end of it, mate.
No, great stuff, mate. Again, Craig Arnott, ladies and gentlemen, thanks very much for coming on, mate. Wish you all the best going forward.
Cheers, Red Eyes.